Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today again. It's Wednesday, and we are back to our usual Wednesday discussion. You are joining us on the platform, a program that's brought to you by PAGS with support from OSISA. We are going to have a very interesting conversation today, and we're going to have the usual rules that we follow as we are interacting. My name is Mumbi, as it is showing on the screen, and today's topic of discussion is how this question to you. But before we get in there, I hope we are all following the COVID-19 rules. Wash our hands, sanitizing, masking up, social distancing. Above all, staying home if you don't have to go anywhere. As you can see, today's conversation is not forgetting to talk about COVID-19, something that we must all insist all the time, preferably, and at least try to observe all the time, even if no one is watching us. As usual, we are going to have a session where we are going to share the link in the comment section, and you, our viewers, are going to be joining us as you're going to be contributing on today's discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today's topic, we are talking about how the campaigns are going on in your area with COVID-19. We are aware that it's almost going to a month now since ECZ's banning of public gatherings due to COVID-19. We remember very well when the ECZ chairperson, Mr. Shindano, did give the reason why they were banning them, banning the public gatherings, after changing the statement from the first one, which when they just advised to not have the public gatherings, to them actually banning. And I think this has been seen after the new serious rise, the rampant rise in numbers of COVID-19 in its third wave. In today's discussion, we want to hear from you. What are your experiences with the campaigns that are happening now under the new guidelines by the ECZ? What is happening in your area? Are you able to hear your people campaign? Have the guidelines helped you in trying to work around the COVID and reducing the numbers? And have the same guidelines helped you in interacting with your potential leaders, with the candidates that are aspiring for various positions in your areas? We have seen that many public gatherings have been banned already. At the same time, we have seen a lot of door-to-door campaigns which are being done by candidates which are more advised because they don't pull a lot of crowds. Have you been visited by your contestants or the leaders that you have chosen that you're going to vote for come 12th August? At the same time, how are they engaging with the public as they come to visit you? Are they following the COVID guidelines? But so far, what has been the impact of these guidelines that ECZ put up with the campaigning itself, as well as how are they helping us with combating COVID-19 and trying to see how we can reduce the cases, preferably stop spreading the virus itself. I'm going to be sharing the link just now. And those who are ready can begin to jump into the conversation and share their views about what they think today. I'll give my personal experience with what we've seen so far, as far as my area. I have experienced the door-to-door campaigns by a good number of political parties. I have seen some political parties follow the guidelines. I think if you remember, after the revised guidelines, it was advised that with the door-to-door campaigns, at least, the maximum number of people that should be doing the activities should be 3. Personally, at least for the political parties that have managed to visit our area, have only been 2 or 1 person. I've experienced this interaction with parties like NAREP, where it was only 1 person that was sent to do the door-to-door campaigns. I've also experienced other political parties who have not followed the guidelines of moving 2 or 3 in an area. But of course, since ECZ doesn't move around policing the political parties, I'm sure we are bound to see such activities, or the activities happening in a way which has not been advised by ECZ themselves. So I've shared the link in the comment section. Remember, you are going to be watching us from Pilato's page, as well as the page for People's Action for Accountability and Good Governance Zambia, as well as a live stream on Pilato's page on YouTube. So there is a link. It has been shared. I can see your comments. Thank you for joining us. I can see a lot of comments coming around. Yeah, the Chimbakambwili and not following the guidelines. I understand, and those are the things we want to hear from you. What has been your experience so far with the type of campaigns that are happening now, where large gatherings are not allowed, and the preferred methods are door-to-door campaigns, and the door-to-door campaign should not have more than 3 people doing the campaign itself. Please follow the link, join in, and I'll be able to add you to the stream, and then you can be able to give your contribution on today's discussion. I've shared my experience with what I've had so far in my areas with potential candidates, and we want to hear from you. Is it working? Is it something that we must continue with, or we should just ban, or we should just refuse, or go back to the old way we used to do the campaigns before the COVID-19 because the message is not reaching the people, or you feel the message is not clear enough? You would rather have a rally and listen to your leaders speak than to see people you don't know knocking on your doors every day campaigning for you. Worse off having a leader in your area, a potential leader in your area who doesn't manage to visit your area. How is it working? And we all need to remember that it has been by the guidance of ECZ to see that at least we try and work with the Ministry of Health, because we also can't refuse that we're seeing a very high rise in the numbers of COVID-19. And we can see that the third wave has come back stronger, and we're seeing a lot of people dying. It's almost every day that we're seeing the rest in peace on our news feeds, on social media, and much of the people that are being posted, they're dying from COVID-19. But at the same time, we must maintain the morale of the elections. We must maintain the idea of engaging with the leaders. I can see people are asking, how do they join in the conversation? I've posted a link in the comment section. Press on the link and I'll be able to add you here. Remember the rules of the conversation. You need to switch on your camera as well as put an identifiable name as you are joining in, so that we may be able to interact with somebody with a proper identity. So I'll try and post the link again. I'll keep posting it so that people can be able to see it. Rather, it can keep on reappearing in the comment section, and then you can join in. Okay, so I've pasted the link there. Mr. Abraham, I can see your question. There is a link. I've posted it again. You can click on any of them and I'll be able to add you to the stream, and then you can be able to give your contribution. I can see there's already a lot of complaints about how particular individuals of particular political parties did not adhere to the guidance of the ECZ. I know, we've all seen it, but I don't want the contribution to come from me alone. I want to hear it from the people. I want to hear it from you guys, and we want to see how we can be able to influence the public to be able to follow these guidelines, as well as political parties. We've seen that of late, there's been a lot of influence that has been coming from the citizens themselves and pushing different agendas, and the government is able to listen. And I believe social media is one of the platforms that we can do that. We have seen it happen, at least in the past days. So far, so good. I think we can still continue to push such agenda. So there's a link in the comment section. Click on the link, join in, and then be able to give your opinion about today's discussion. I keep seeing the comments about Kambwidi. I don't want to be tempted to talk about it, but I will eventually dive into it, because it's one of the things that has happened, and it's in line with today's conversation. we are aware that during his campaign period, there's a lot of things that he's been saying, and he's been doing a lot of gatherings, by the way. We have seen it in public. We have seen it by the videos that have been shared by many people of his public rallies and how he was gathering many other crowds. But also need to remember that it's not a Kambili problem, it's a many other candidates' problem. And what we want to see is our candidates and political parties being able to commit to the guidelines that have been given by ECZ. It's not a PF problem, it's an individual problem of people who are aspiring for this position. I can see some people already beginning to join in. So I'm beginning to add now. Okay, so I've added 2 people to the stream. Please, as you join into the live stream, make sure your mic is on mute so that we avoid an echo as people are listening to us. Mr. Frankie, you are welcome. Good to have you this evening. How are you?
I'm okay, and how are you?
Well, Katie.
Anyways, I'm fine, just enjoying the show.
Mr. Frankie, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Uh, Actually, I'm enjoying the show. Though it's anyway, the show. I'm from Mumpongwe. Yeah, that's all.
Nice.
Say, how about that? Yeah.
Is that all, Mr. Frankie? Or you have a contribution you want to give to today's discussion as well?
Yeah. I think Mr. Campbell is not following the guidelines because it's like I don't know what I can say because they're not following the guidelines. I think they are scared of coronavirus. I don't know what to say, but that's the only thing I can say. They're not following the guidelines.
How is it in your area? Are you seeing the same thing happening in your area with the people aspiring to be area councillors as well as those aspiring to be MPs, as well as those who are coming to campaign for different positions, including presidential positions? How is it so far? Are they following the guidelines?
No, absolutely no. Because there are some vehicles which they're using as campaigning. There are many of them people going into those cars. I think they're not following. No, as well.
Okay. All right, Mr. Frankie, thank you very much for your voice from Mpongwe. At least we know so far. Wait, which area of Mpongwe are you from? We wouldn't want to accuse the entire Mpongwe.
Oh, anyway, thanks. But say Mpongwe Central. Mpongwe Central.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frankie, for joining in. We appreciate your interaction with us and the people. Okay, so that was Mr. Frankie. He was joining us from Pongwe, and from him, he's saying, as far as he has seen in Mpongwe, he's seen that the candidates from Mpongwe are not really following the guidelines as guided by the ECZ. We're hoping to hear at least even one, plus this says someone is following the guidelines. But so far, I think I've also had a similar experience to Mr. Frankie, like I said earlier. I've only seen very few parties that are following the guidelines, at least those who have visited our areas. I've seen many other parties doing the opposite of what this is, as I said, especially in densely populated areas. I don't really know what measures should be put there to ensure that these guidelines are followed, especially by political parties. Or maybe we should have a charge of some sort that comes with it. But I think what makes it difficult is that maybe also the citizens don't know how to react if they find that aspiring candidates and political parties are going against the guidelines of ECZ. Perhaps they should put a reporting mechanism of the citizens where they can be able to report candidates or parties that are not following the guidelines that have been given by ECZ. But all in all these are just suggestions that can be given by the people. At the same time, we need to remember that we're a country of laws, and there are people that will that will be able to make perhaps maybe what we can call temporal laws that can be able to be used in a period like the one we are having right now. I can see there's another person joining in there. Mr. Simpasa. Good evening, Chief. How are you?
Evening, how are you?
We are okay. Where are you joining us from, and what is your experience with the campaigns in the COVID period?
Okay, John, I'm from Kasama, Northern Province. Location area, Northern Province, Kasama, Central.
Great. So, what has been your experience with the campaigns?
Okay, like looking at the process of like the way the campaigning is going on, like in terms of COVID-19, like the strain that they have put in place, I'm seeing like it's just one side decided whereby the other parties, they are not like doing their work. They're always supposed to be like it's democracy, I'm just seeing like one party is the one which is like dominating everything, like in everything, like in Kasama, whereby if the other political party like put on their own legaria, you find that the other political party, they want to intimidate them, so it's a bit like whereby people are now, they are not participating like in terms of campaigning, they're just looking, so there's nothing that is going on. So it's like even the COVID-19, like the guideline that they have put, they are not even following it. To find that for them, they can be in a big car, in a big vehicle, four of them, like so looking at the guideline that they have put, like in terms of like Minister of Health, they are not even following that. But when it comes to other political parties, for them to put on the guy, find that they are intimidating others. So I can't see any democracy over there. It's a big one-sided.
What do you think should happen to ensure that these political parties and the rest of the aspiring candidates are following the guidelines of the COVID-19 at the same time maintain their campaign? What do you think should happen? Should we have citizens going to report them or something?
Yeah, they should be like that. Like, every department has got their head. So we have got the head of state, whereby they put in place people that can be like protecting those people, those who can be going around and looking at the process they are being following, like the way it's supposed to be. Like the way it is right now, it's not like they are spreading COVID. If I believe it's there, because it's there, I've seen like people they are dying and other stuff. So they should be like starting from there. So like there's no one to control them. To just continue like this,
Vasimpasa usha candidates tevakala mboko vatsavene kuva ishi vati apa vari rufyanya apa vari twara marwere muvantu.
Takwa vifika chila muntu alikwata umutungulula. So if the party, like for example, a party has got the head, like they've got someone who's bigger than them. If they tell them to follow this instruction, like mwila chitefi ama campaign zenu mule pelelo muno vakonka filafine nga bamfuira ule pantu mukalamba palive, they'll follow that. But ngachako bati tare bigger pamantu ngama measures yako bati muntu uta kuti vakonke fialelanda, they were just starting doing their own things. Tiwapula na yene ama Minister of Health, you find that so not shupako. Even the campaigning you can't see that it's democracy. It's not. It's one party. I can say, yeah.
Mr. Simpasa, thank you very much. We are glad to hear a voice from Kasama. At least we're getting we're getting exactly what's happening on the ground from you.
All right.
We value your interaction, and we hope to see you again next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Mpombo, good evening. Good to see you again, sir. How are you?
Hello, good evening.
Okay, how are you?
Can you hear me?
We can now. Now I can hear you.
Now you can hear me.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, it is also it's always a pleasure to listen to you, especially to your program, Pilatos Ideas, which I cherish very much. I appreciate. I'm calling from Italy, and I did call, I think, the last time I intervened, and now I would like to participate even this evening. You people, you know
We'd love
how
to have
Italy,
you.
yeah, you know how Italy was hit by COVID-19. Italy as a nation reached a number of 1,000 deaths a day, 1,000 people dying in a day. When the numbers reached such extent, the government had to involve the military for the security of the citizens, not the soldiers to go and beat the people, but they used the army to go and protect the nation, to go and protect the citizens. So,
Yeah.
I think you and I and most of the people who are watching this program should have seen. I think we have seen that things are not going on well in Zambia. The indications, the health ministry, they are doing their best. They are doing their best, but nothing is going into a right direction. I would like to be very realistic. I don't want to say a nice word about word, but to be realistic. Things are not going well. And it is a question, do we as Zambians, do we want our relatives, our friends, to be safe in the country? I think this is the first question. Do we want the citizens, do we cherish that soul which was lost today because of COVID, because of the lack of oxygen and because of the lack of drinking water? Do we want to save that soul? A single soul. I'm not talking about 200 people who have died today, maybe in Zambia, but I'm talking about a single person, one person who have died. Do we cherish that life? Do we respect that single life? That's the first question. Of course, I know you cannot answer that question for us. There are people who might maybe be in the position of answering that. But if we are responsible, we cherish the lives of each and every single Zambian. When the figures of COVID are going up, you have to take drastic measures. Some of the drastic measures that they have taken here in Europe, my dear, I was even watching the football yesterday, you know, Germany and the English people and those things. You have seen, you guys, people are watching football without the mask. We are now moving on the street without the obligation of putting on a mask. Why? Why? Because for 2 years in Italy, they have cancelled, they have blocked no nightclubs, no night jobs, no night activities, no bars, no restaurants, and no disco houses, no casinos. For 2 years, my dear. 2 years. And now we have seen the fruits. The fruits, we are now seeing them. We can go out. I can remove my mask now. This is a public place. And for your purpose, this is a police place. It's a public, it's a police place. And you can see the people now moving without the mask, my dear. We're moving without the mask because they took the drastic measures. If we want to save the Zambians, if I was a leader, I was going to fight to save the Zambian. Any single, that woman in Kamitondo, that old man in Luapula, that young girl in Shangombo, I would fight very hard. So, my dear friend, let's not waste time in asking. The candidates are not serious in following the COVID-19. Listen, even me, I would have not followed the COVID-19 rules. Even me, I'm telling you. So it is the work of the police not to beat the people. These police, they go out to caution the people. Put on a mask, sir. Please, can you put on a mask? And I put on the mask. That is the work of the. It's not, you are not going to solve the COVID-19 in banning candidates because they are holding a rally. No, it is for Kanganja, Mrs. Esther, to send the police where there is a gathering, so that the police, they can make sure that people are observing 1 meter, masking up, and there is sanitizing. If there is none of those, they cancel the meetings. Full stop. My dear friend, let's not give the people the responsibility to save their lives. It's not the people's responsibility. It is the government's responsibility. Please.
Don't you think the government did try to be responsible enough when they gave guidelines to candidates to at least not use gatherings as a method of disseminating their campaign messages, preferably use door-to-door with observing the 1 meter social distancing rule?
Absolutely wrong decision. Door-to-door is wrong, my dear girl. Wrong. Here, I cannot go and visit my friends. Listen what has happened in Italy. I make, for instance, now the Zambian cities. I am a Kitwe resident. I stay in Ndeke and Kitwe. When the COVID is serious, they cannot let me move from Ndeke to go to Luangwa or to go to Chamboli. You get the indications. I am supposed to go and buy tomatoes to eat in Ndeke only. I cannot move. We don't have even to talk about the Kitwe people moving, going to Lusaka. Here in Italy, I stay in my town, Milan. Milan, I cannot go to Turin. I cannot go to Rome when there is COVID regulations, because my moving from Kitwe to Ndola, I am a potential transmitter of COVID pandemic. Please, you guys, we can learn from the people. The COVID did not start in Zambia. It started in China. There are measures these countries are putting across. Why can't we learn? Why can't we learn from them? So yes, my dear, tell me.
So the gatherings should continue as long as people are putting on their masks. People should still go to a rally as long as they're putting on masks.
My dear, it's much better they make a gathering which is controlled by the police. The gathering which is controlled by police than the door-to-door.
Okay, I hear you.
Because door-to-door, my dear, door-to-door, you are taking the virus to an old woman who is innocent.
Yeah.
They are taking the virus to an old young boy going to school who is innocent. Look at them. I have seen the videos. They reach at a house and they are knocking at the door and they're talking to a woman. Three people who are contracting the at home. It is wrong, please. It is wrong.
No, your contribution has been heard.
Thank you, my dear.
And it's
Let us learn from
very
England.
different.
Let us learn from. Yeah, I can even speak in Italian. Carissima, bellissimo, bellissimo. Dobbiamo imparare dagli italiani. Imparate dagli italiani, cari. Learn from the Italians.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bomba, for joining us. We'll be waiting for you next week again to hear your contribution.
Thank you, my
and I'm
dear.
glad you're always giving us a view of what's happening that side.
Yes.
Maybe we can pick a few things and see how we can learn from
We need
our
to
friends
learn.
there.
Yes, let us just learn what they have done, these people. Coronavirus is not a Zambian disease. Let us learn from the Chinese what they did. From the Italians to remove the mask. What have they done? From the English people, they are watching the football now without masks. What have they done?
Mr. Mpombo, thank you very much. We will see you again next week. Continue joining us on the other side, sharing your comments in the comment section.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care, my dear.
Thank you. Okay, so that was Mr. Mpombo joining us all the way from Italy, and he was sharing with us the experience that they have there and how Italy has managed to cool down their numbers. At the same time, managed to continue with their activities. Of course, some stiff measures had to be taken, such as closing bars, closing night jobs, closing restaurants. And that's a whole different conversation altogether. But for us this year, particularly Zambia, we're having a very interesting year because we're having our elections and people need to continue to campaign. He shares a very interesting suggestion where he says he would rather we have a case where people gather, but it's controlled by the police. They make sure that people are following the guidelines, they're keeping the distance, they're wearing their masks, and they're sanitizing in order for candidates to give their manifestos to the people, rather than allowing them to do door-to-door campaigns, because nobody's watching what is happening behind the door-to-door. Nobody is seeing if people are following the guidelines as they're doing the door-to-door. No one is seeing if people are going not more than 3 at someone's house. No one is seeing how they're sitting and how they're having their interactions as they visit people's houses. Quite a different suggestion from everyone else, and it's a parallel suggestion to the ECZ guidelines, but surely something that can be taken into consideration. Should it happen that it can work, it's a contribution from one of the people that was joining us today. The link is still in the comment section. You can still click on the link to join us and give your contribution on today's topic. I like what Mr. Mpombo has just said, because it gives a practical example of what happened where he is right now. I think we can actually learn from the rest of the countries. He says something I totally agree with. COVID-19 is not a Zambian disease, so we can learn from at least those where the disease started from, and from those where the numbers were so high and they hit so bad. We know that some of the measures that we're seeing right now are some of the measures that were practiced in other countries. The idea of closing bars, the idea of closing restaurants, and banning public gatherings are some of the things that we saw from other countries, and the things we are domesticating now during this COVID period. He says something interesting where they were not even allowed to travel from one area to another, because any person traveling is a risk. They can be a carrier of the virus itself, therefore they become a potential spreader of the virus. I don't know if the country is ready to reach that extent, especially that we are in an election period, and it requires candidates to move from one place to another in order for them to transmit some messages. There are a lot of factors we are looking at. If we say they don't move, what happens to those who come from village setups? If we have to use the media methods of communicating to them and they don't have a radio, they don't have network, someone has to reach out to them. At the same time, we need to remember that they may not have the full information about the COVID, and they may be the next victim of the virus itself. Worse off when they gather up together in one space. At the same time, I feel it's very important that the mandate is not only given to the people, because as far as the people is concerned, there's an issue of how much knowledge they have about the COVID, and in fact, what type of knowledge they have about the COVID, and are they willing to listen? But definitely, the politicians and the people aspiring for these positions are very much key players in seeing that we do not create a super spreading situation among the citizens by bringing citizens together. But we may have to find other means that may be more workable for the citizens and may be more workable for 12th August to ensure that all the candidates are able to spread their messages to the people of their areas in which they are wishing to become representatives of. I've posted the link, it's still in the comment section. You just press there, I'll be able to add you on this stream, and then you'll be able to give your contributions. I don't know why we don't have a lot of people today. I don't know if the topic is difficult or anything, but really what I just want to hear from you is to share your experiences. What is happening in your area with the campaign periods right now? How are the people engaging with the politicians? Are those people aspiring for those positions following the guidelines? We had some people who are joining us from Pongwe who gave the view that so far the aspiring candidates are not following the guidelines. They're still gathering people, and they're still going on with other things that are not included as part of the guidelines, or other things that have been put as the things that should not be done in the guidelines given by ECZ. And unfortunately, this is the same case that we have received from Kasama, where we're seeing people complaining to say, okay, the guidelines are not being followed. People are still being gathered by aspiring candidates, which is quite bad. And I've also been able to share my experience here in Lusaka, where I have also witnessed a case where we have not seen the advised guidelines being followed. We're still receiving more than three people visiting our houses to come and give the messages while doing the door-to-door campaigns. We're still seeing cars of people parked in cars and doing their campaigns. We wouldn't want to accuse them as roadshows, but at least they're playing music in a track with people who are more than three. They're even reaching up to 7, 10 in one track, playing music, and someone speaking. I don't know if that's a roadshow, but they are still doing that in our areas, and we are not seeing enough policing of these people. One of the people that joined us here did mention something also to say, perhaps we should have a method where we have ECZ protected officials following these candidates to see how they're carrying out their door-to-door campaigns. As much as I would want to agree with that, I don't know if it's possible. If it's possible, I think individuals must be able to be responsible, especially if they are aspiring for public positions that have to do with them influencing the public for them to get into all those offices. I think people should be responsible enough to understand the effect of what they're doing. They should be able to know that today they may want to campaign to get into those positions, and they may have to use any means necessary. But among those means should not be risking the citizens' lives. Mr. Mpombo did mention to say, do we at least care for even one soul? Not the big numbers that we're counting, 200, 300 people died, no. But at least for one soul, that we can't follow the guidelines, that we can't do something that protects all the citizens. And I feel if a candidate is really serious and intends to bring the good to the people, they should be able to follow these guidelines. There are a lot of other ways that we can be able to campaign, but the basics should be followed as given by the guidelines that were given by ECZ themselves. Candidates should know that as they go into offices, should it be found that they fail to work with ECZ or with the guidelines given now, they will still find the problem of COVID-19. They will still have to deal with the same problem of COVID-19 once they get into those positions. Therefore, they shouldn't take it lightly, or they shouldn't make it look like it's something they can ignore just because they want to get into power. Otherwise, we may all begin to just assume that we are having a bunch of people who are just interested in power, then they should be interested in the people, which then gives us an otherwise opinion about what these people are saying they are. Because the fight of COVID is not only a fight of the citizens or the people to regulate themselves, but if we have people who can be responsible enough to at least help both the Ministry of Health and help the ECZ to ensure that the numbers do not increase, then even better. I don't know what best method we can use if it's not the people that are supposed to, that are intending rather to be leaders, because these are the same messages that they'll have to come and give to the people. They will have to come and tell people in their constituencies to follow the guidelines. The councillors will have to tell the people in their wards to follow the guidelines, should they be councillors. And if they're failing to do that now, I don't know how they intend to come and influence it when they then become leaders. Yet they are not ready to do it now because they don't want to lose votes. Otherwise, we may have to have other suggestions given by them, but at the same time, we're ensuring that the people themselves are not at the higher risk of getting the virus. Because we always need to remember, usually, the people that are gathering us have the ability to go and be treated somewhere else. Whatever it may be, including COVID, I'm not accusing them that they're going to be treated somewhere else, but what I'm saying is almost every MP that is standing today, majority of those that want to gather the people, majority of those that want to go against the rules, believe me, they probably can afford oxygen. They probably have a house where they can have their own room to do their isolation. They probably have the money enough to even take them out the country for treatment. They probably have enough connections to even get the vaccine from the money in their own pockets. And they are gathering the masses that depend on public service in order for them to be able to have good health. We're talking about the hospitals. They are gathering people that cannot afford to buy oxygen. They're talking about people that do not have even a spare room to have their own isolation. So the risk is bigger on the citizens than on the candidates. That's why for me, I feel the responsibility being given to candidates is more of an important factor than letting the citizens have this responsibility. The citizens have a lot of reasons why they may not follow the guidelines. We are talking about them finding themselves in an act of survival. They may be marketeers. They need to continue selling in order for them to earn a living. They may be casual workers. They need to continue doing their casual jobs in order for them to have the ends meet. But for a politician who is seeking office, they must be able to tame themselves and be able to find a way to influence the people. The same way they want to influence them to vote for them, they can still influence them to ensure that they are able to follow the COVID-19 guidelines, and we can be able to reduce this. And I keep borrowing the words of Mr. Mpombo. COVID-19 is not a Zambian thing. Yes, it's in Zambia, but we can learn from where it started from. We can learn from other countries that were hit harder than Zambia. Look at what's happening in India right now. It's a very sad sight. I don't know how they work it out, but we must understand that it's possible for us to take the same direction. It's possible for us to find ourselves in the case of India where we're failing to handle the COVID cases. Already we are seeing our hospitals are getting filled faster than we think. Already we're having cases where oxygen is running out. We're having cases where there's just no space in hospitals to have our relatives be taken there. And then we have a case where people are feeling it's okay to see the citizens gather because they need to give them a message that will eventually take them into office. Quite unfair and quite a sad thing to see from candidates that are aspiring to be leaders. There's an individual that wants to join in with the title M2. Unfortunately, Mr. M2, I can't add you if your camera is not on and you are not showing a name that is identifiable. What is M2? Maybe switch on your camera and then you can be able to contribute. Meanwhile, I've posted the link in the comment section. I keep posting it so that you can be able to see it. Click on the link and then you can be able to join in and give your contribution on today's topic, which is talking about, which is asking us to share your experiences with how campaigns in your area are going with the current COVID-19. We must remember the guidelines as well. Our candidates following the guidelines that have been given by ECZ. What are we experiencing from the various political parties, and what are we experiencing from the independent candidates and any other person that is participating in this election? Because you need to remember, it's not only the candidates, it's the campaign teams as well. What are you seeing from their campaign teams? Are they being able to follow the guidelines that were given by ECZ, especially in our local areas? Please, as you are trying to join in, make sure you switch on your camera, as well as you have to put an identifiable name. I will only admit the people who are following those rules. We need to follow those rules in order for us to have an effective interaction. So Mr. Mpombo is back on the stream. I don't know what he has for us.
Yes, my dear,
Mr.
I'm back.
Mpombo,
I am following you, and I think it's very difficult also for you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Right, thank you. I've allowed myself to come back. Now I'm at a working place. Behind here is the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
One of the major hospitals. I can give an example, like in Kitwe, the Kitwe Central Hospital, okay? It's a big hospital. And we have a COVID center, which I can tell you that now, for last week on Tuesday, the COVID center was closed because we don't have any patient with COVID, tested COVID positive. No patient, no. Even in the hospital now, there is no one tested positive. And the old town, it is now classified as white. No, because here they gave the colors: red, orange, white. So red when it is very dangerous, orange when the numbers are going down, white when we don't have cases of COVID. So now in our town now, the cases of COVID are close to zero. I wanted to say another thing. You know, I don't want to compare Italy to Zambia because we have many problems in Zambia, many problems. And our citizens, not all of them are able to sustain themselves. For example, if they did the partial lockdown here in Italy, it meant closing any activities at 18 hours in the evening. So from 18 hours to the following day at 04, shut down. That's a partial lockdown. So you know, my dear friend, you know, girlfriends, boyfriends, they go out in the night. Allow me to, I don't want to use other funny words. People who do even sex businesses, they work in the night, my dear. And those people, we don't want to now sound nice in Zambia because we are not going to get the cure. We have to now to hit the nail right on the head. People who do sex businesses, they go out in the night and they shake hands in the night. If not, they even touch their bodies in the night. During the day, I think it's difficult. In Zambia situation, very difficult to close a market. Here, markets were shut down. Even public markets were shut down. But I won't go to that extent. I would say it's very difficult. But I come back to say, well, the police can help. And the Zambian police, they don't need those big machines that we are seeing, those machines which are useless. They don't need, there is no need for those useless big machines. We want a policeman in a bicycle. A policeman in a bicycle helping the people. The Zambian citizens are friends. They are not enemies of the police. Just like I advise to you, even the soldiers, they can put, we don't have a war around Zambia. There is no war, my dear friend. There is no war. Why can't they put the soldiers to come and work for the sanity of the country? We are about to go to elections, of course, and it's difficult now. I make a challenge here. In the United States, they did it. In Israel, they did it. In Italy, we did change the government at the beginning of this year. We did change the government at the beginning of this year. And one of the solutions when you are doing public, when we are doing campaign, if they want to fight the easy transmission of COVID-19, ECZ, they say, no campaign, no motor show, and no any other forms of campaign. Let ECZ open Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation to all the candidates. If you want, give them each candidate one day, please. Why should we behave like this as if we haven't gone to school? Let's open Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation. Then whoever we are going to find on the streets will say, no, your candidate was speaking on Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation. So there is no excuse that you go around to do the campaign on the streets. What should all those other political parties, apart from the ruling government, who is using the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation, what should they do? I ask yourself a question, my dear friend. If you can answer me that one, I'll be very proud. What should the people do if they cannot allow them to speak on TV? What should the people do if they cannot allow them to speak on radio, national radio? What should they do? It's not easy.
I think that the concerns you're sharing have actually been shared by many, especially when it comes to ZMBC itself. I think people did try to put in public influence to see that we should be able to listen to all political parties on ZMBC, especially that we are, ICZ did give a guideline of closing down the campaigns. We did see, I think that was 2, 3 or a week ago, where surprisingly, it in fact became more like a joke on social media when ZMBC rather showed an advert of the opposition. It became a joke because it was a serious surprise to the people that it actually happened. Yet in the normal sense, that's how it should be.
That's how it should be. You are right. That's how it should be. We are talking of people to be serious. Okay, I know. As long as your parent hasn't died of COVID, you think it is a game.
Yeah.
You think it is a game. Even these leaders, as long as no one of their family is COVID positive, they are not going to be serious at all. How I would love that people like Chishimba Kambwidi can have an experience of COVID positive so they understand. It's not a game. We have lost a lot of people. Italy, we have lost 37,000 people. 37,000. And the whole world now we have lost 2.8 million. 2.8 brothers and sisters because of this disease. It's not publicity. It's not a game. I can challenge ECZ because they are now the architects of peace and order and I don't know what else. You people, if you are serious, come on. We don't have time already. The disease has spread everywhere. We have no time, my dear friend. We don't have time. We are losing nurses. We are losing doctors. I have my nieces, two of them, they are doctors. I have my nieces, they are nurses. They are crying. So please, you have the option, you have the possibility, my dear, to talk to the world, to talk to the country in Zambia. Be courageous, my dear friends. Be courageous. Caution them. Ask them questions. They are the only ones who can give us the answers. Of course, we have an opinion. I can give my own opinion. Actually, I haven't given my own opinion. I'm just doing what have saved the Italians. These are the regulations. Yes, my dear. But my opinion, I won't bring my opinion because it might be controversial. Okay. Thank you so much. Keep fighting.
Thank
Current,
you.
fight, my dear. Go on, fight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mpombo. We appreciate your
Okay.
contribution.
Bye.
Okay, so that was Mr. Mpombo. He was rejoining us to come and give another contribution to today's discussion. There's a person who's trying to join. Unfortunately, your device is not joining in. That's at least it's showing the name and it's written as Sonda. You may want to rejoin in the last 3 minutes that we were remaining with as we come to the end of the show. So I'll be going through the comment section now. So that I can be able to answer I can be able to respond to some of your comments and be able to listen to some of your contributions. I can see that the Chimakambili issue is very hot in the comment section, which I understand. Well, ECZ has done what they should have in fact done a long time ago, but remember, Kambili's issue is having so much things tied to it, the tribalism, the gathering of people, and all those things. But as far as the gathering of people and going against the ECZ guidelines, I think ECZ has done something that they should have done a long time ago, not only to Chimbakambuli, but to many other aspiring candidates whom we have seen have actually been gathering people. If you ask me, I wouldn't even mind if it's reached as far as parties where the act of one person can even be attached to the parties, because I think that's when we'll be able to see political parties being more responsible and being able to guide their candidates, because it still doesn't make sense if the ECZ will be taking such actions, yet political parties where certain candidates are coming from are not saying anything about the actions of their candidates. Like I said earlier, the problem of COVID-19 is just not a government problem. It's every citizen's problem. It's a case of if you're not infected, you are affected. Either way, it will still come your direction, and you have to pay the price of either being the one looking after who is sick or being the person who is sick. The one failing to get the service from someone because they're sick, or being the one who is a sick person. So either way, it's going to follow us. I can see the comments there coming in saying, "Oh, I love Pilato." I'll deliver the message to Pilato. Someone was asking how they can join the conversation. I think I did share the link. It's still in the comment section. I was from posting it. I can see comments from people reminding us where they're watching us from. I can see comments also that are not for today's discussion, but we appreciate you joining. Someone is saying it's very responsible for them to not do contact tracing, and it's a key driver to the pandemic. I agree, but I think we can still use measures that are being put in right now so that we can all be able to just save ourselves before we run to the hospitals to save us. We can actually avoid the hospitals if we can try to follow the guidelines from home. Someone is giving us a hint of what happened today. In Lusaka, around 14:30 today, PF youths were marching in Cairo Road. no masks, no nothing. Kunda and I share the same experience in Lusaka, where people are not following the guidelines, and that's why I keep insisting that political parties will be key players in ensuring that their candidates be able to follow the guidelines. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an hour of this discussion. Unfortunately, we'll have to come to an end, as we only spare an hour on Wednesdays to have a conversation with the people about what's happening in the country right now. We'll see you again next week on Wednesday at 20 hours on the platform to have another conversation about another thing that requires the citizens' attention and contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. From the platform, myself and the rest of the team, it's goodbye.